Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
I want to go back to camp. Yesterday, we got to get out there. A little jealous of the rest of the team.
Big time
to all
jealous.
Be down there again today. But we're just going to take advantage of that. And so among our team spending time down at camp over the last couple of days is, of course, Butcher Boy Joe Shasky from the morning. Butch, I want to read this to you from Larry Krueger because we were sitting here all talking about our confirmation bias, and I wonder if you agree with this. When it comes to quarterbacks, I think we hear what we want to hear and we see what we want to see. And Larry, of course, was so early to the Brock Purdy party. We know Larry really loves Brock. So here's what he wrote today, and you tell me if you agree. Larry 10 minutes ago tweets, Brock Purdy had a great day today. He was 3 for 10 with a pick, which on the surface looks like subpar numbers. But there were 2 drops by receivers, and he's rusty after an offseason of rehab. The real story is arm strength. He demonstrated no loss of zip. Purdy let it rip down the field. What'd you see, my friend?
You know, I want to start on the good morning or good afternoon, guys. The confirmation bias is very interesting, and I listened to your entire conversation, you and Dan, yesterday, and you're 100% right. We have bias in everything we do. It's inherently baked in how we're raised. We're products of our environment, the kitchen that we grow up in, and the dinners that we have, and you're shaped by those things. I really went into today with an open mind, right? I was like, I really just want to see things and try to be as open-minded as possible. I understand everything that Larry's saying there. Here's my takeaway. Brock did not look, sharp at all. Rust, absolutely. This guy's first practice in I don't know how many months. There's a lot going on. That was my number one takeaway. Forget Brock and Darnold and Trey and Brandon Allen. They're just juggling so many plates. Like, I don't think people understand how many plates are being juggled. This guy's going out there with the 1s on the offensive line, and these are the 2s and the 3s. Actually, it's the 4s, and they're going against the 5s, and this guy's going to throw to that tight end. No, we want him to check down to this running back. There's just a lot going on, all right? So I want to acknowledge all of that. And it's his first day back, Brock Purdy, and I understand all the optimism. I thought today was more about Sam Darnold. I thought Sam Darnold showcased the full Sam Darnold experience today. He made some unbelievable throws, followed up by some boneheaded decisions, But that was the full Sam Darnold experience. I see what people see in him. I see the talent. Brock's not a great practice player. I saw a lot of what I saw last year. I don't want to judge people on practice. Alex Smith was a poor practice player. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look good in shorts and a helmet. He was more of a gamer, a game-time player. It's the guy's first game back, first practice back in months. So you're throwing to Ayuk, who looks phenomenal, and Debo, who's at the top of his peak, and you're trying to play catch-up. So I'm saying a lot here, but I don't know, man. I have very mixed results with Brock Purdy, and I'm trying to be fair because I recognize everything that he's trying to get kind of thrown into the deep end here.
So what do you look for, Joe, when you're out there? And it's Joe. You called me Dan, so we're going to keep it formal here on Willard and Dibs, even though you and I go about 15 years back. Maybe Joseph would be even more appropriate. But what do you look for when you're out there at practice? Because I was kind of having the same battle yesterday watching the quarterbacks, knowing that they're all in shorts, they're in soft helmets, there is no pass rush. Like, the defense is closing on the ball, but it's not really tackle football. It's not even really flag football. So when you're looking at these quarterbacks, what are the things you are looking at?
Are you consistent? Like, that's the thing for me. Are you consistently having that bop on the feet? Do your feet look like you're bouncing around, but not jittery, not Jeff George happy feet, not Kerry Collins happy feet? I'm talking about, the good feet that you're looking for, where you're athletic and you're on the prowl, but you're not jittery. I thought Sam Darnold gave me a little bit of all of those things today. I thought Trey Lance in the drills yesterday didn't look great. He looked better in 7-on-7, 11-on-11. Today, complete opposite. He looked great in the drills. In fact, I thought it was the best I've seen Trey look in the drills. And what's crazy is they had Brock Purdy on one side. Literally next to him is Trey Lance. And so it's the two of them throwing simultaneously, and everybody's losing their minds. And this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot going on all at once. And I took video of the two guys and their reps, and I'm looking, okay, well, Trey's throwing to this guy, and there's just a lot going on. There's so much going on. So what I'm looking for is, what's the body of work look like? It's not the individual rep. Is the consistency there? Are they consistently hitting guys in stride? Are they consistently throwing good, tight spirals and getting it to a guy with good ball placement so he can turn upfield and go? I thought Trey did that in the drills. He did not do that when he was in 7-on-7, 11-on-11. I thought Darnold had a great day. I really did. Like I gave Darnold a lot of criticism the day before because I didn't think he played too well. Yes, today he looked awesome. I can see where they get enamored with him. But again, he's going up against third and fourth cornerbacks with Brandon Ayuk, the number one wide receiver, killing guys. So, like, there's context to all of these things. I did think that Brock Purdy looked a little overwhelmed today. And I don't mean that in a knock. It's the first day back. He's got a lot going on. I just worry about, can this guy consistently get in there day in, day out for the next couple of months and throw enough to, like, get himself back up to where he needs to be? I'm really skeptical. He's good to go. Everything, dip here and there. Yeah, it's great for today. How's he feeling tomorrow? How's he feeling on Monday? How's he feeling on Tuesday and then Wednesday? I think that's just a reasonable opinion to be asking.
Yeah, well, he did address the whole soreness thing and said that he's actually gotten to a point where things don't hurt the next day, but it's a fair question to wonder, okay, what about now after an actual practice? Shasky from The Roast, of course, you all know the voice joining us here, Willard and Dibs, was at Niners camp today. Joe, I know the way you watch this stuff because I watched you guys watch this, and I know you really, when they're doing 11-on-11, you really dial in and focus on certain things. When you're looking at Brock Purdy's arm and whether this is the throws themselves, the way he held and carried himself, what specifically did you see today?
Well, it looked like Brock from last year training camp where he's not going to blow you away with arm strength. That's not his thing. He throws a nice, good, catchable ball in rhythm. But today, he just looked a little out of whack when it comes to going through his reads. I thought he looked like a guy who hadn't played in a long time. It did. But the other part was, and this is the part I don't think any of us are going to know, is he just a freaking gamer? Like, is he one of those guys that's just going to, like, Garcia, notorious gamer. You know what I mean? Notorious gamer. Wasn't the greatest in practice. It just wasn't. I don't know. Like, I didn't see him go against the ones last year. This is an elite defense. No one's open. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to go, oh, they only completed yet. Yeah, because no one's open. And I would say the same thing if Trey were the quarterback one going up against ones, or Darnold, same thing. Like, this defense is locked down. Dre Greenlaw jumped in front of a route and should have picked it. Donovan Flanagan Flowers or whatever should have picked Trey Lance. Darnold threw a couple of, like, what are you looking at throws? Because they've got depth everywhere on defense. And it does feel like the D is way ahead of the offense. But in terms of arm strength, he looked like the same guy as last year. Here's where it looked different. The games, he had the moxie in the pocket. I didn't see that same thing today. And it's not live bullets. You know what I mean? It's practice. It's his first day back. He hasn't seen live bullets coming, staring him in the face, and they're not even in pads yet. So I'm granting him tons of liberties. But no, he did not look like, to me, the same in terms of the pocket movement and feeling the pressure and stuff. I mean, the guy we saw in the regular season was ridiculous. I mean, come on, guys. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was incredible, and when it actually mattered in November, December, and even into January. So with that as the backdrop, how much stock do you put into things like the fact that he was 3 for 10 with a pick today in shorts and soft helmets, practice stats, and in general, practice reps? How much do you put into this, not only for Brock Purdy, but for all the quarterbacks as we ease our way toward August?
Well, so that's a great example. So, like, on one play he completed, it was a nice throw to Brandon Ayuk. I think he gets sacked once or twice at minimum on that play, right? He gets stuffed in the pocket. He tries to roll out, kind of gets, like, back-ended by his own tackle, probably getting sacked on that play, and that's a completion. But I thought he did enough to buy time, and there wasn't a lot of places to go. You know, is the decision-making good, Dibs? Like, that's what I'm looking at. Are you throwing to the right guy? And a couple of the completions, it felt like, hey, I just want to complete something here to kind of just feel good. Let me just dump this off real quick to Kittle, and let's feel good. I like seeing that because that's a guy that's self-aware. That's like, hey, I haven't seen the ball go right into somebody's hands. The ball's hitting the floor, and it's a dead play. Let's keep it moving here. It's like, when you're in the gym by yourself and you just want to hit one before you leave the gym. I kind of like that from Brock Purdy, but I can see somebody else doing that same thing, like, oh, look at him taking the check down right away, not looking downfield. So, again, it's such a mixed bag, man. Like, I kind of like taking the completion and walking away. Instead of being 0 for 13, you're 2 or 3 for 13, and I don't even give a damn. I thought that the defense was way ahead, and he just looked a little skittish today. Let's see what he looks like tomorrow. Darnold looked skittish yesterday. Today he looked a lot better. I don't think this thing's linear.
Joe, we're all trying to find conversations where emotion gets taken out of it. For you, what does this look like in a perfect world for the 49ers? What does this look like when they break camp? And I don't mean like who wins this job. Like, which of these quarterbacks are on the roster, and what does it look like in a perfect world?
Well, can I tell you what it doesn't look like?
Yeah.
I don't think it looks like today. Because to me today, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish. There was a lot going on. Look, Brock's on a pitch count. You don't want to overdo him. But I want to see Darnold. But I also want to see Brandon Allen. And, Trey yesterday got kind of like the number ones. Today he got the fours, right? So I just feel like they're juggling too many things right now. I'm being real with you. I'm very worried that they're trying to do too many things here, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but it feels like when you try to accomplish 7 things, you don't really hit a home run on anything. You kind of strike out on 6 of them, and I'm like, maybe we should simplify this. I really am. It might be the best thing in the world to just let's maybe move Brandon Allen out of the way. I think they're trying to do a little too much right now, and I worry that they're trying to serve all of these different, blueprints that make a lot of sense on paper that don't make a lot of sense for the team. Because I can already picture it now. Hey, I'm Ayuk. Darnold's getting me the rock. I'm Debo. Hey, I've got synergy with Darnold. What's going on? Brock's got to get up to speed, or why are we wasting our time with Brandon Allen, or whatever. And I'm just using these as examples.
Right.
Nothing set in stone. I can just see there's a lot of guys that want to get touches, and they want to win now. There's a big sense of urgency on this team. And I'm a little worried that all of this quarterback stuff, it might not be the greatest. I thought it was. It might be a little too complicated.
I get what you're saying, but then I think about last year at this time in camp, and Brock Purdy ostensibly was the number 4. He was fighting. I'm fighting for my life, guru voice, against, Sudfeld to be the 3. Jimmy was on the kiddie field on the side. We didn't know how that was going to play itself out. So can't you see some value in the slow playing and the elongating of this process, knowing that, it might be Brandon and not Sam, and it might be Brandon and not Trey, and Brock could still get a setback. We don't really know how this 4-man battle is going to play out.
Dan, we're wasting our time with Brandon Allen. I feel like we're wasting oxygen, and they're wasting reps with him. It's clear to me, like, Brock is QB1 in terms of their eyes and what he did last year. So just put that to the side. This is about Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. We're wasting our time. Brandon Allen was probably an insurance policy to see what happens with Brock Purdy. He's not good enough. He doesn't pass the eye test. It doesn't make sense. He's a 30-year-old journeyman. We kind of know what he is. Like, to me, take him off the table. This is about Darnold and Trey Lance for that number 2 spot and getting some sort of clarity on that. And that's, to me, what needs to be accomplished here. Darnold tomorrow cannot go 27 minutes like Trey Lance did in between passes. If you're trying to put together the best 53-man roster, that's like me, giving Kevon Looney 3-point shots when, I've got Klay Thompson open on the wing. What are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, that's just my view of things. And I can see where that could frustrate some guys. Every guy there. It's Super Bowl time. It's go time. They're not in this like, hey, let's see what this guy's got. And we got to get this guy some looks because somebody might want him. I don't know, man. There's a lot going on here. There really is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this. I got to give credit to Darnold, Trey, and Brock. I was watching how they were reacting with each other. They're all very good teammates. High-fiving, butt-slapping. Whether it's genuine or not is irrelevant. It looks like, to me, these guys are all kind of pulling the sled in the same direction. Kyle's coaching up those 3 big time. He's really talking with them and working with them, and they're working with those other players. I like where they're at. I don't think there's turmoil in terms of the players and things like that. I'm just saying there's a lot going on in terms of these reps, and these are valuable opportunities for these guys to gain credibility with their teammates.
Butch, want that same energy tomorrow morning. Don't you get senioritis and start getting into vacation mode. This is a big time of year, and you better be ready tomorrow morning.
Hey, one last thing.
Yeah?
And I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm asking sincerely. I want someone to take a good look. I was watching Brock the entire time, okay? He could not stretch his arm out completely straight on any of the play actions, and he had it bent almost the entire time, even when he was had helmet off and everything. I am hyper-focused on the arm and the elbow. I am overly cautious. I'm probably the only person that worries about these things. I'm very skeptical. And I know I sound like a hater. This is a devastating injury to your moneymaker. And yes, the velocity looked good. To me, that is the number one thing to monitor in and out, day in, day out as these weeks progress. How does Brock's arm look? How does he feel? How does that affect his psyche? I'm super, that needs to be focused on because he's QB1. He's QB1.
No doubt.
This is a huge injury.
Huge, but luckily he didn't have to have the Tommy John, so the internal brace does make the return to play a little bit quicker than the Tommy John.
Yeah, no doubt. And the other thing I was thinking about today, last thing, guys, is Trey Lance coming back from the ankle injury. I didn't even think about it once. You know? It's kind of crazy because he had a pretty big injury too, and I didn't even think about it once. And all I was focused was on Brock. He's not the only guy, Brock being the guy coming back from injury. It's just, that's that moneymaker. And
but Trey's been 10
I know
months,
I'm not
though,
a doctor. I don't pretend to be. It's something to me I'd be monitoring.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. If it like your conversation this morning, I did text Doc Pandia, and he said something that I thought calmed all of it. He's like, this does not feel rushed at all, because if he weren't practicing, he would just be doing that exact same throwing on the side right now. As long as he's not taking contact, this makes sense to him.
Well, he threw 2 deep balls, and they were a little high and a little long, but there were 2 deep balls, and I looked at him after that ball dropped. Hey, is he going to grab the arm? No, he didn't do any of those things. But it's not about just today. It's about next week, and then the week after that, and the week after that. I mean, remember the Trey Lance arm fatigue thing? I scoffed at it. You know what? I was wrong. So I think this is something to monitor. That's all I'm saying. This could be the franchise guy for a decade. I want him to be healthy.
Well, you don't have to worry about anyone monitoring Brock's arm. I think we are all going to be unbelievably hyper-focused. So thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, boys, have a good one. Oh, and one last thing.
Yeah.
Drake Jackson. Buy Drake Jackson stock now.
Kinlaw, too, is what everyone's buzzing about, right? Kinlaw looks like
time.
Yeah, well, that's true, too.
Hey,
all right.
Also, Mark, I don't want to say anything negative to him for fear of retribution.
Well, yeah.
Kinlaw, I've always been a fan.
You be careful.
There you go.
Be careful.
You better be careful.
All right, Shasky.
Bye,
See you,
boys.
bud. All right,
See you,
bye-bye.
Joe.
Okay, I love that, man.